New York City Council has passed a bill that, quote, prohibits an officer from sitting, kneeling, or standing on a suspect's chest or back in a way that restricts airflow or blood flow. And we're here to say with absolute certainty that this will have the absolute opposite effect in New York and in any department around the world that follows suit.
When an officer can't use their body to control the suspect, they end up resorting to all the other tools that they have.
What the bill that they're passing right now, there's room for interpretation that says any technique that's sitting, kneeling, standing on someone's chest or back or stomach or torso in a way that restricts airflow or blood flow. It's very ambiguous.
Yeah.
And what that means is, conceivably, lay down here, Gidon, what that means is, what they're suggesting is that, for example, something like the mount, being mounted on someone where my hips are driving into his hips and he may be exhausted from violently fighting against the officer for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and I achieved the mount to try to control and save his life and save my own life. This right now could be a criminal offense for an officer in New York. And the number of officers that are reaching out to us saying, hey, what are we supposed to do if we can't use our bodies to hold someone down? It's a very dangerous situation, and we just had to make our opinions felt and heard, because any other department that follows this same direction is really creating a liability. There's now some language there that it could be misinterpreted as you cannot use the mount, you cannot use side control, where you're just here and you're just holding someone down, keeping him away from my weapons, and I'm here holding the situation, working into a cuffing procedure, but just the simple use of body-to-body control. If that's body-to-body, and of course there should be no knees on necks, there should be no standing on neck. There should be no standing on someone's chest. Listen, we get that. There's no standing on anybody. Don't stand on another human. Nor is that efficient, because if you stand, you'll lose your balance. But from a tactical control perspective, body-to-body control, and you go all the way back to one of the first sports in the Olympics, just freestyle or Greco-Roman wrestling, where you're trying to take someone down and pin them and lay on their body and immobilize them for control. If we take that away from police officers, what that says is you can't lay on someone in any way, shape, or form, potentially. And if I can't lay on you, how am I going to hold you down?
You're not going to hold me down.
I'm got you right. You're not getting up. You're under arrest, sir. You're under arrest, sir. Boom, boom, boom. Do you guys understand? So the point is, if I can't hold him down with my body, he will escape. I guarantee it. Someone with much less athletic capability than Hidon would still be able to escape my hand only, or whatever we're going to limit officers to. If I can only hold him like this, don't go anywhere, sir. You stay right here, because I can't use my body to immobilize him. If that's what we're aiming for, he's going to get up and get out. And what does that mean? When he gets up, let's say he throws another punch. Now my life is in danger because I'm at risk of getting knocked out. He's actively assaulting me. We're not talking about passive resistance. We're talking about violent aggression towards an officer. And at that point, the officer has to defend themselves, and they can't use body control. So they're going to use tasers more likely. They're going to use their firearm more immediately than if they could just, hey, what's up? I don't care what you say here. We're not going anywhere. Sir, we're staying right here. Backup is on its way. We got you. We got you. We're staying right here, bud. We're staying right here. So the point is this, you guys. We stand at a point right now in police reform where we get it. Change is necessary. Neck restraints can be escalated to, until the training for neck restraints are match the training officers get for firearms, the frequency of firearm training, it has to be escalated to lethal force. We get it. There should be no accidents at less lethal situations for any neck restraints. We get it. But if we take away, with the ambiguous language in New York, we take away body-to-body controls that are used thousands of times every single day at martial arts schools, jiu-jitsu schools, wrestling, high school wrestling, across the country and around the world. And we say that an officer cannot control a violent criminal with that body-to-body control. If we do that, it will have the opposite effect than what we are looking for as a society, as a community, as a country, right? And that's what we're trying to defend against right now. It sounds like New York is already over the hump. New York is already over the hump. I don't know what they're going to do, and to be honest, they're in a very tough situation. Very tough. We're speaking to the chiefs, the councilmen, the city council representatives all over the country who might be looking at that and saying, oh, should we do something similar? The answer is absolutely not. Well, at least with regards to the physical control tactics. Now, there's other elements in the reform bill in New York that may be more applicable in other departments. What we're saying is when we talk about loss of life and the determination to lose less life, both on the officer side and on the suspect and civilian side, one thing that will guarantee more loss of life is removing the ability to use nonviolent body-to-body control tactics as an officer. That's 100%.
Listen, we are part of a family that has been using these body control positions for 80 plus years. We have so much experience with using our bodies to control, whether it's someone in the street fight or teaching it to officers. And all we have is amazing feedback and a huge success. And we personally, we pride ourselves in our ability to control somebody in a way that is actually protecting them. So when it comes to safety, this is the safest way to address anybody in any community, in any part of the world.
There you go. These are the techniques we teach in Gracie Survival Tactics. We've been teaching them to law enforcement for over 25 years. The family has been teaching them to people around the world for over 100 years. No one has ever died under our control from a applied mount position, side control position. When these are properly applied, they couldn't be safer. And taking them away is going to increase the level of force and the immediacy of that force from any officer who's stripped of these controlling tactics. Police reform, necessary. Changes, necessary. Whatever you guys want to do, necessary. Do not remove the ability for an officer to control a violent suspect who is fighting and resisting arrest and needs to be arrested, because the only other alternative is we say no. If someone starts fighting, simply don't control them.
When you remove the officer's ability to control the suspect
non-violently,
you remove the officer's ability to defend themselves and to protect the suspect. Because when the suspect escapes, now the officer is in more danger. And when the suspect escapes, the suspect is in more danger.
There you go. And listen, the evidence is out there. The evidence is overwhelming video evidence of incidents of law enforcement and arrest scenarios where suspects who knew how to use effective body ground control immobilized and neutralized the threat as efficiently, as effectively as possible. What we need to not do is blanket statement and say that all officers cannot use body controls that touch the chest, diaphragm, or lungs. No more of that. If it puts any pressure on those, they can't do it. We need not do that, and we need to criminalize the specific actions. The plugging of someone's arteries of their neck for 8 minutes, that can be criminalized, right? That suspect, that officer, should be held criminally liable for the abuse of power. But a nonviolent technique used in the appropriate manner should not be criminalized, and to do that, you're creating a very, very dangerous equation for so many good officers out there who are trying to enforce the law and protect all of us in a way that keeps them and the suspect safe. But when you remove the safest control method they have, you force them to use the less safe tools that they have. So here's where we stand. Any police chief, any government official out there right now who is on the fence of looking at a bill or reform like this, and this particular element that we specialize in, who's on the fence of should we make this change or should we not, we will make ourselves personally available to meet with you in person if necessary to speak about the ramifications and the concerns and the collateral damage of a seemingly, on the surface, well-intentioned reform such as this, but understanding that deeper, and what the problem is, once this is written into law, it's hard to undo. That's the challenge, going back to the way things were. So listen, we have concerns of this as professional DTAC instructors. We also have concerns as civilians. If I ever get arrested because I do something stupid, the number one thing I want the officer to know is non-violent body control tactics. Immobilize me so that I am less of a threat, lay on top of me, hold me down, wait for help to arrive, and then cuff me up and take me away while I was in my crazy state of mind that I've never been in, but who knows what the future holds. That's what I want the officer to know. So what they need is more training in nonviolent tactics, not the removal of nonviolent options, thereby escalating the amount of excessive and higher levels of force.
It's not like hands-on situations are going to stop happening anytime soon.
Oh no, if you're not as long as we have to enforce the law, not as long as we expect police to take criminals to jail.
They're going to go hands-on. When they go hands-on, they're going to fall on the ground. When they fall on the ground, they can either A, have beautiful control, or they can lose control and go back to standing. When you're back to standing, then now the suspect
has more aggression.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
The suspect comes forward, and when they come forward, what is the officer supposed to do?
What are they supposed to do? They're either going to strike, which is more violent than laying on someone. They're either going to strike violently, they're going to tase, or they're going to use their firearm. And all of those are higher levels of force and more dangerous for both people than body-to-body control in a ground situation. We're talking to departments right now. There's some departments in the midst of all this who are contacting us saying, you guys, we need to go heavy, better training for 2 departments right now we're talking to that are trying to make regular jiu-jitsu based defensive tactics every day, 1 hour a day, on duty requirement for police officers, meaning of their 8-hour or 10-hour workday, they get an hour of paid time to invest in their nonviolent control tactics and skills. And we're facilitating that in these departments. This is groundbreaking stuff in the absolute right direction. And then we look to New York and we go, wow, with this particular, when it comes to use of force and the actual deployment of hands-on control tactics, it couldn't be going in the worst direction.
They're moving further away from what we refer to as the gentle art.
And what
jiu-jitsu is the gentle art.
And what the community wants police to be capable of, but because they have no expertise in the subject, we're applying a blanket reform statement to police control tactics that will have the opposite effect. So please forgive our enthusiasm, our excitement, and our energy, but there's so much more at stake here than I think anyone who signed that bill and who is pushing that through in New York really has an understanding of. And it's a knee-jerk reaction to a lot of what's going on right now, and we understand the need for change. But man, these changes have to be made very carefully and with all the considerations on the table. Otherwise, the collateral damage of a change like this is going to outweigh any benefits that it may bring.